Welcome to Classic Literature and Philosophy. I'm John, and today we'll be discussing the theory of act and potency. These are your learning objectives. Number 1, the motivation for the theory of act and potency. Number 2, the general theory of act and potency. Number 3, the relationship between act and potency. And finally, number 4, the many distinctions within the categories of act and potency. The theory of act and potency was motivated by the need to explain change and permanence. Heraclitus, a pre-Socratic philosopher, denied that permanence was possible. He believed that there is no being but only endless becoming, that everything was in a state of potency, nothing was ever actual. You may be familiar with his famous quote, "You can never step into the same river twice." Parmenides, another pre-Socratic philosopher, denied that change was possible because there couldn't be more than one being, since X is a being and Y is a being, and if they were distinct, then there'd have to be something that differentiates them. But since they're both beings, the only thing that could differentiate them would be non-being, but non-being just is nothing, and therefore it couldn't differentiate them. So his argument against change is thus: Premise 1, change requires being to come from non-being. Premise 2, being cannot come from non-being. Conclusion, therefore change is impossible. It seems as these two views lead us into absurdity. If we say that there is no change, we are contradicting ourselves, since to give the argument we have to move our lips in order to argue that there is no change. Even the thought process that undergirds our argument involves change. On the other hand, if we say that nothing is actual, then we have to say that there is no actual argument for that proposition, and we fall into another absurdity. So the question is, how do we solve the problems of either extreme? Aristotle says that there's a third option between the horns of these extremes. In his Metaphysics book Gamma chapter 2, he says, "Now that which is indeed spoken of in many ways, but it is spoken of with regard to one thing and a single kind of nature. It is not spoken of by homonymy." Essentially, he's saying that being is said in many ways, and when we speak of being, it doesn't always mean the same thing. Aristotle gives us an example of this with health. Its position is similar to that with health. Everything that is healthy is spoken of with regard to health. So one thing is said to be healthy by dint of preserving health, another by dint of producing it, another by being a sign of it, another by being capable of having it. Food is healthy because it produces health within us. Similarly, blood in the face is healthy because it is a sign of health. All of these are related to health, but in different ways. Aristotle's alternative analysis of change is thus: it's not the case that being comes from non-being, rather one kind of being comes from another kind of being. In particular, there's being in actuality, and there's being in potency, the way things could be. Change is simply the actualization of a potency. Let me give you an example with a piece of metal. The metal is actually solid, but it has the potential to be liquid. The potential to become liquid exists within the metal as a part of the object. That potency is not non-being, as Parmenides would say. Rather, it's a different type of being. There are 5 crucial things you need to learn about the relationship between act and potency. Number 1, Aquinas' first thesis states that potency and act are a complete division of being, such that whatever exists is either purely actual or a composition of actuality and potentiality as its primary and intrinsic principles. Whatever exists must either be purely actual or a composition of actuality and potentiality. Humans are a composite of act and potency. God is not a composite of act and potency. He is pure act, unmixed with any potency. Well, what about a being that is pure potency, you may ask? That which is pure potency cannot exist, since to exist you would need to actually exist. Number 3, potencies can only be actualized by what is already actual. For instance, the metal's potential for being a liquid cannot actualize itself because it's only potentially liquid rather than actually liquid. To become actually liquid, it would need something already actual, like the blazing heat of a crucible, which actualizes its potential to be liquid. Number 4, the distinction between act and potency is a real distinction, meaning that the distinction between act and potency is independent of the mind. It exists outside of the mind. If there was no real distinction between act and potency, it would collapse into Parmenides' position in which everything is actual. Number 5, act is prior to or more fundamental than potency. Potency is always defined in relation to act. Potencies are grounded in actualities. For example, the potential of a copper key to open the door is grounded in the copper key actually having the shape that it does. Distinctions in potency. Number 1, logical possibility, which is objective potency. There are no unicorns actually existing, but there are no contradictions in the concept of the unicorn. Married bachelors would be logically impossible because it entails a contradiction. A married, unmarried man is obviously a contradiction. Number 2, real potency or subjective potency. Potencies that are grounded in the natures of real, mind-independent things. For example, the fire's potential for giving off heat is grounded in the nature of the fire itself. There are further sub-distinctions in subjective potency. Number 1, active potency, the capacity to bring about an effect. For example, fire's capacity to melt metal is an active potency. Number 2, passive potency, the capacity to be affected. For example, metal's capacity to be melted is a passive potency. Number 3, uncreated active potency, pure active potency unmixed with any passive potency. For example, unlike metal, you cannot bring about any change to God. Number 4, created active potency mixed with passive potency. For example, a man has the capacity to bring about a change and has the capacity to be changed. There are many more distinctions within the categories of act and potency that are beyond the scope of this video. For more, I recommend reading Edward Feser's book, Scholastic Metaphysics, A Contemporary Introduction. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to classic literature and philosophy for more videos. If you want to contribute to the conversation, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Have a nice day.